Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming to this press conference after we held yesterday in the European Parliament in Brussels the third edition of the International COVID Summit. We had tens of doctors, of experts, of researchers, truly professionals who were analyzing and dealing with the coronavirus for many years, and who presented us yesterday their findings and conclusions after the pandemic that we witnessed in the past 3 years. We have here some of the doctors that presented their findings yesterday. I would like to give the floor now to Dr. Malone to share with us some of the conclusions of yesterday's event. Doctor.
Thank you very much. I don't have any prepared remarks. I would like to acknowledge the courageous MPs that have enabled this opportunity and thank them on behalf of the International COVID Summit Group. This is our third International COVID Summit meeting. First one was in Rome in the Senate by invitation. The second one was in Marseille and Massy in France. And now it's been our great pleasure to be able to share our observations and conclusions here in Belgium. I would like to, in particular, emphasize one of the key findings that ran all the way through the presentations, which is that, in fact, there are people who are vaccine injured. This is something that has been suppressed by all channels of, forgive me, corporate media and governments, that there are these individuals who are in fact vaccine damaged, and they have not been allowed to speak. They have had their experiences suppressed. They have been demeaned. They have been gaslit, and they are damaged. And they are damaged in large part consequent to the rush of this product without adequate testing. This was also very well demonstrated during the meeting yesterday, that the regulatory affairs rules and regulations that have guided the European medicines agencies and the FDA and agencies all over the world have been very actively bypassed, and unfortunately there have been consequences. That what we learn is that the wisdom of having these norms and practices to ensure the safety and effectiveness of products before they're deployed into humans have good reason to be used. That they do provide benefit to the population and to humanity by ensuring that the activities of the pharmaceutical industry, whether well-intentioned or otherwise, are properly controlled to ensure the safety and effectiveness of the products in the population. And I now ask for Europe and the European Parliament to please consider that these individuals who have been subjected to so much, they've not only been damaged by the mandated products and the vaccine passport requirements, etc., in order to just engage in their daily activities, to be employed, etc., or in lieu of not being vaccinated, they've lost their jobs, they've lost their livelihoods. I strongly encourage that we acknowledge these individuals, we work together, and that the European Union might provide leadership in helping to discover and identify potential treatments and therapies so that they can be made whole and that they be compensated for the damages that they've incurred as a consequence of the policies that have been implemented throughout the EU, the United States, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and across the world. So that's my plea. The conference was, in my opinion, a great success. Again, in large part thanks to the willingness of the MPs who have been so courageous in enabling this meeting, and it truly covered a comprehensive scientific scope. We had a clear demonstration that the European Parliament and the European Union was warned that if there was allowance for patenting of genetic genetically modified organisms and allowance for gain-of-function research, there might well be consequences. And unfortunately, we have seen these consequences now over the last 3 years. We also learned of the damages that have been associated not just with the virus itself, which the evidence indicates was in fact not of natural origin, but also from many of the interventions, and in particular the public policies having to do with lockdowns, the deleterious effects of mask mandates on children, all the way through the legal implications and looking forward to the international health regulations that are being so actively promoted under the logic that the World Health Organization, which in our opinion, I think most of my colleagues would agree, has been an abysmal failure in managing this outbreak, is now asking for more capital, more power, more control, and more authority, and to really breach the sovereignty of individuals throughout the European Union and the United States and the rest of the world. And I strongly suggest, as do my colleagues that presented on this topic, that the members of the European Parliament closely scrutinize the proposed international health regulations, much as the African nations did when they came up for debate previously, and take a wary, skeptical, experienced eye, remembering that even good intentions will often go awry, and policies and procedures which seem logical can at times be used for other purposes. So I thank you for your time, for the opportunity to speak here, and I hope you will take back to your constituencies the message that the vaccine damaged do exist and they need to be cared for. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Malone. Christine?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you for being here. I would just like to reflect on yesterday's conference, and I really have to say I thank each and every one of the presenters, of the scientists, of the doctors, to appear in front of us and to give their arguments, present the data, present the facts, because in the end we were pretty much right about everything. Just thinking back when we started 2 years ago, I didn't know any one of these wonderful people, how far we have come. We have grown into a family. It's a family of dissenting voices all around the globe, and I'm particularly grateful that I have been made a member of this family that I'm very proud of. And like I said, wonderful people, and we will continue to be the dissenting voice, and we will do whatever it takes to bring down the globalitarian elites. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Christine. Ivan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. I am very happy and proud that we managed to organize the third International COVID Summit. We have heard some wonderful science, research and testimonies yesterday, and it is amazing to have it all in one place. I must say that there is political will in Europe, there is political will in this parliament and also in national parliaments that wants to make things right and that wants to make great standards for the future. We will send the conclusions, each of every professor, doctor, to the EMA agency, to the Commission, to our COVID committee, and we will demand that they take these findings into account. If they refuse to do that, we will hammer them with the scientific data. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as Dr. Malone mentioned, and my colleagues, for us in the European Parliament, we took the lead, I would say, in October of 2021 when my colleagues here to, first of all, raise concerns. We were not aware initially about the gravity and the complexity of the issue, but I'm glad that after our fight here, we got to this point where we were able to bring so many experts and researchers, professors and doctors to share their findings with us. And I would like to give the floor now to my colleague, Mr. Kolakusic from Croatia.
Thank you. I would like shortly to where are people from upcoming danger for humanity. The World Health Organization wants all countries to sign an agreement on handing over the authority to declare a pandemic, procure vaccine and drugs. It would be healthier and safer for humanity to sign agreement with the Colombian drug cartel. They know all about the drugs for sure. During the COVID pandemic, World Health Organization only told lies about all things. It should be declared a terroristic organization, and their lives and health of billions of people, it putting in their hands, it's extremely dangerous. They lie that is a new and unknown virus, that is possible to make an effective vaccine, that the vaccine is 82% effective, that it protects against serious illness and deaths, that all, of course, were foolish and lies. Today, World Health Organization is more dangerous organization for humanity than World Economic Forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And some asked us why it's us from Eastern Europe, the one who took the lead, I would say, in exposing and fighting the abuses that happened during the pandemic. And I answered them and I said, the reason why we did it, and we have two MEPs from Croatia, I'm from Romania, Christine was born in East Germany, is because we are, I would say, young enough to remember how it was to live in a totalitarian regime, in a communist system. And because we've been there, lived that, it's our duty right now to tell the world that we have to fight for freedom, we have to fight for liberty, and nevertheless we have to fight for truth. And what we've done yesterday here is to allow every expert, every doctor, every professor to present to us and to the world the findings after their professional research, I would say. And it's important for us as MEPs and as elected officials, regardless of the office that we are holding, to listen to real experts. Because unfortunately, for all these years, we heard more from bureaucrats, we heard more from NGOs who do not have any expertise in this field, but we barely heard anything from real experts, like Dr. Malone and all the others who presented their findings to us yesterday. And since I mentioned Eastern Europe, I'm here with my friend from Romania, George Simion. He's a member of the Romanian Parliament, and we agreed yesterday to host the 4th edition of the International COVID Summit in the Romanian Parliament in Bucharest in the fall of 2024. Thank you, of 2023, sorry. Yes. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being here. If there are any questions from the media, we will happily answer them. No? Thank you so much. Yes. Press the button, please.
This one?
Yes, and
Sorry.
if you address the question to any of us.
I would love to address my question to you, Christian Terres. How will you prevent the World Health Organization, how will you prevent the EU to take part and the national states to take part in the new treaty from the World Health Organization? Thank you.
First of all, that treaty will have to be ratified by these guys in the national parliaments. So it will be very important for you in every EU member state to make sure that you call on your elected officials in your national parliament to make sure that they will not ratify that treaty. And then the treaty will come to us in the European Parliament, to deal with it here. But the fight starts at the national level, which is why I'm calling on all of you to be involved at the national level. Make sure you petition your elected officials in the national parliament to stop this before it's becoming a recognized treaty in the international law. Any other questions?
Yes. Yes. I'm sure you're aware of also the international health regulation that can go much faster than, signing a new treaty, while these amendments just need to be changed and adopted by a few without even telling, the whole world some sort of similar coup, perhaps not to the same extent, but is happening. So is there also some attention on this matter? because this is next month also.
Yes, we had a conference in the European Parliament in Strasbourg, I think it was last week, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks ago, with one of our colleagues, Virginie Joron, from France, who was able to bring together a lot of legal experts from different EU countries who told us about this problem. The challenge here is to raise awareness about what is prepared to all of us, but I'm restating what I earlier said. It's important for you to get in touch with these guys at the national level, because that's where every treaty has to be ratified. Our national parliaments will have to pass a law in order to ratify this treaty or convention. That's how things are done. So we do everything we can here. We want to give a platform, the opportunity. I mean, what was done yesterday with the International COVID Summit it was unseen in this building in years. But the fight starts at the national level, because at the end of the day, we are all sovereign nations, and we have to defend our sovereignty at and from the national level, which is why I'm restating, get in touch with the elected officials in the national parliaments and make sure you raise awareness about this problem. Thank you. Yes.
Sorry. It's very important who you send in your national parliaments. In Romania, we are the second largest party right now, but with only 10% representatives in the parliament, we managed to stop the Green Pass. In Romania, lower than 40% vaccinated COVID-19 vaccines happened. So it's important to find political parties that fight against these plans and send them to the national parliaments and to the European Parliament after May 2024. If we don't do this, they will manage to make similar coups. Thank you. And thanks the kind doctors for their participant, and we are waiting you in Bucharest. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Marian, and first of all, I want to express my gratitude for these people in front of us here, for their pristine work that they brought to us, for us to understand the way of this SARS-CoV virus. Second, I will be very happy to see you again in Bucharest on the next summit, COVID Summit, International COVID Summit. And one of my questions is, what will be next now? What is coming next? We know about the COVID, we know about the SARS. You did, like I said, a pristine work showing us and how it works and how it has been released to the world and so on. What is the next step? Are we fighting against the virus itself or against the people that released it? Or I don't know how to. I hope you understand what I mean. What is the next step?
Yeah, I would like to answer that. You are indeed right. COVID was just, like I said yesterday, a test balloon, and the lessons they learned from this, namely how did they fail and where did they fail to get the people to just do what they were told to, comply, and they will take this to the next level. So we're talking, of course, about digital ID. It's in preparation. We're already talking about this. The Parliament circumvented itself pretty much by taking with a large majority a vote to not even involve Parliament. It goes directly behind closed doors to negotiate the digital ID. The next thing we will be seeing is, of course, CBCD, the digital state currency. That will be the ultimate blow to depriving us of all of our freedom and privacy. And and of course these 15-minute ghettos that I already talked about yesterday. These are the next steps. And once again, I want to make it clear, we're not talking about some future projects 40, 50 years down the line. We are talking about as in right now. that they're working on. And once again, we need the people on our side on this to fight this, to raise awareness, and to let their government, especially the national governments, know they will not deal with that and they will not accept this. That's what we need the people for. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Herman Kelly. I'm Director of Communications for Mr. Therese. I'd like to ask Dr. Byram Bridle to give us his thoughts on the conference yesterday, please, and we'll conclude with that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, my name is Dr. Byram Bridle. I'm a viral immunologist at a university in Canada. And first, I just wanted to address the question that was just asked. So, from a scientific perspective, what I can tell you is after this conference, from my experience of the past 2 years, inevitably, everybody who spoke yesterday will be accused of having disseminated misinformation. I wanted to point out that what I saw yesterday was an awful lot of primary data presented. And when people are accusing us of disseminating misinformation, they never address the primary data that we have presented, nor do they provide primary data to demonstrate that what we have said is incorrect. So in terms of the future, when it comes to science, misinformation is something that we have to be very concerned about. And this, we need the press to help scientists around the world and physicians around the world in this area, because if you aren't aware, there's talks in pretty much every country around the world about the potential to criminalize misinformation. Fine scientists and physicians, fire scientists and physicians if they provide misinformation. This has to be of concern to the media, because you have to start asking yourselves, if that's the case, who are going to be the arbiters of truth if it's not going to be scientists who provide primary data? So that's a key thing you have to watch out for. The other thing is if you are not aware, the mRNA vaccines that were rolled out over the past couple of years, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The same companies are developing mRNA vaccines for other diseases, and you might not be aware there is an enormous number of mRNA vaccines being developed for veterinary use. And that in of itself is also a potential concern to human health. So for example, we know that the mRNA vaccines can get into human breast milk. And therefore we have infants who are consuming undefined doses of these mRNA vaccines. These were never approved for that route of administration, nor to be administered to infants. And yet we now know that is happening. And if it could get into human breast milk, who's to say that they couldn't get into the milk, meat, and eggs that we consume? So I'm telling you, based on what I saw yesterday, there needs to be an immediate moratorium on mRNA vaccine technology until the very many legitimate scientific questions that have come up about this technology over the last 2 years can be definitively answered. And I'd just like to end with this. The thing I most appreciated about my experience yesterday was the fact that these MEPs here, these are heroes to me, and you should not only be proud of them here in Europe, but these are political leaders around the world, I can tell you. So the country that I come from does not allow open discussion about the science underpinning COVID-19. But what was allowed yesterday was uncensored, open, and honest discussion of the hard, objective data underpinning COVID-19 policies, and I would like to thank these MEPs for allowing us to do that.
Thank you.